former SEAL commander who's planned and executed a lot of missions inside Afghanistan, along with retired General David DEPTULA, with the dangers and challenges our troops face on the ground and in the air as well. Gentlemen, appreciate you being with us. Dave, to you first. ISIS-K, the Taliban, remnants of al-Qaeda, a bunch of other terrorists who were let out of the jails in Afghanistan. Now you've got U.S. troops heading into Kabul, both on the ground and in the air. Only a matter of time before we take casualties?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, you're definitely at risk. There's no way the Taliban can guarantee some kind of safety, nor should we trust them to. So all it takes is some rogue operators from ISIS who, it's in their interest to cause a lot of chaos and throw some more wrenches into this whole situation.
What do you think a terror attack by one of these groups would look like? Is it a surface-to-air missile or a suicide bomber?
It could be either. They could be going, the amount of munitions they have, they could be doing IEDs. They could do straight ambushes in the streets. I don't know that the Taliban has any control over ISIS or their ability to get in or sneak into even Taliban ranks. So you could see whatever form and opportunity they could. They could just do the old rocket barrages, random from afar that kind of hit some things and kind of don't, but it's still pretty dangerous.
Yeah, hits a C-17 loaded with fuel and people. You've got a whole different situation. General, you planned Operation Desert Storm, the air power there, and shock and awe that worked pretty well. Is it too late to be able to use air power against the folks that Dave's talking about?
Well, no, it's not, Leland. As a matter of fact, one of our key advantages is our ability to provide 24/7 intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance of what's going on, and then be able to deliver critical strikes if necessary. But, the challenge is that there was a serious lack of planning and preparation prior to or during the buildup to the decision to actually remove our forces there. That is what has resulted in the situation that we now face. No, it's not too late to use air power. We're using it as we're speaking to monitor what's going on the part of the Taliban. But again, I go back to part of the challenge is we should have avoided getting to where we are. Now we are where we are. So you've got a lot of very savvy American forces, both from the land services as well as the contingency response groups from the Air Force. It seems
so many of them are just waiting for the order to go, and it's one that the military has talked about having all of these options and wanting to have stayed on the ground in order to allow the civilians to evacuate. We understand the White House overruled a number of that advice. A lot of that advice was given by Jake Sullivan, who seems to be putting his trust in the Taliban. Take a listen.
We're in touch with the Taliban daily. We're in touch with our allies and partners. We're reviewing our progress in this particular operation, which we feel has been substantial over the past few days, and the president will make his own determination.
Dave, you dealt with the Taliban for an awfully long time. Do you think the national security advisors clear-eyed, shall we say, about who the Taliban is that we're dealing with every day?
No, not at all. But these are the same guys who trust Iran and think that Iran's going to abide by, the rules and negotiations that we lay out. Absolutely not. The Taliban is playing a game. They know they are. We need to take back the advantage and show that you don't get to draw red lines, Taliban. We are still a world power, and we have to demonstrate that, or else people are going to be drawing red lines for us all over the map.
General, back to the issue of air power. As I understand it, the Taliban now has captured the Afghan Air Force, which was provided by the United States, Black Hawk helicopters, and the number of single-engine ground attack planes, which doesn't sound perhaps like a big deal. But what does that firepower mean for the Taliban if they figure out how to use it?
Well, it's something to be concerned with, but frankly, we talked about options. We should take those options away from the Taliban. That means destroying that equipment. We can do that in 24 hours if the decision was made to do that. So I kind of go back to the fact that the president's got a lot of options and the military is presenting him a lot of options, but he has to make the decision on which one of those options to use to prohibit the Taliban from being able to capitalize on the equipment that was left behind.
Yes, so many of those options he seems not to be willing to take. Dave, last question for you real quick. What concerns you the most about what the Taliban has and what ISIS-K may have also acquired as it relates to the safety of our troops on the ground right now?
I mean, one of the biggest things that they have is they've acquired a lot of night vision equipment, and they have some communications equipment. Now, we'll still be able to get all our stuff through encrypted and around them, but the night vision becomes really concerning, what they can do with night vision and thermal. And then beyond that, that's the tactical battlefield. Beyond that, strategically, what can be reverse engineered and countered by China and Russia and sold off to these guys. So they can't fly a Black Hawk, but they can turn it over to them and take it apart.
Excellent.
So it's all very concerning.
And we know the Chinese are already in Afghanistan already, making friends with the Taliban and celebrating our loss there. We're going to get to the international component in this a little later in the show. Commander Dave SEARS, General David DEPTULA. Gentlemen, thank you both. We appreciate it.
You bet, Leland.
All right, there appears to be a significant and perhaps growing disconnect between the ground truth in Afghanistan and the White House talking points. Take a listen.